A disappointing day for basketball, not so disappointing for baseball. We're live. Let's react.
You are Locked On Vandy, your daily podcast on the Vanderbilt Commodores, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome into a live edition of the Locked On Vandy podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, the number one sports podcast network in the world. I'm your host, Corey Burton. We've got quite a show. We've got quite a bit of sports being played on this Saturday, so we're going to talk about it. Some good, some bad. But hey, it was quite a day though, for sure. And we're going to talk about how baseball is continuing to crush. They lead the country in home runs. And that's impressive. And they're doing exactly what they're supposed to be doing this week. Basketball, you get out coached, plain and simple. I think that's just kind of what happened. It just seemed like Mark Byington was on his heels all game long. So we're going to talk about that. What happened in this game? Vanderbilt falls to Tennessee 69-65, despite getting Duke Miles back. Tyler Tanner tests positive for the flu. We're going to talk about all that plus more right here on this live edition. Your comments as well if you were at the game. The crowd, I was not thrilled with that. It came through very loud on the broadcast when Tennessee would do something very good. There was a lot of cheering. So we'll talk about that as well. But anyway, this episode is brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. Have your cake and drink it too. Birthday cake flavor is back. No fork needed. It's vanilla-y, cakey flavor, caffeinated kick, and no sugar. It's party time. Order now at 5hourenergy.com or Amazon. Now, let's talk about this game real quick. 69-65, a game that Vanderbilt seemingly had control of at times, but never really did. And it just seemed like anytime they'd get momentum, they'd go cold. It just seemed like they were taking bad shots. Tennessee was playing good defense, but it just seemed like they forced Vanderbilt into bad shots, rush shots, turnovers, things like that, things that help Tennessee get momentum at times. And they would make a run. Then Vandy would make a run. Tennessee would make a run. This was the ultimate game of runs. Like, this was pure basketball, because basketball is a game of runs, and whoever gets on the hottest run last is typically the team that wins, because that's when you get all the momentum and you can't get it back. So for Tennessee, they shot really well down the stretch. They played really well down the stretch. They forced Vandy to take outside shots. Tyler Nickel was cold, ice cold, until towards the end of the game. I don't think he scored his first points until like deep into the second half, like almost at the end of the game, deep into the second half. And that was concerning, nonetheless. The crowd was concerning, but here, I'll pull up the stats. I'll pull up this statement first. Didn't get to watch the game today, but either way, they got to lock in and finish out the season with some wins. Very excited to see them in tournament, but hopefully they'll win some to get seeded good. Yes, absolutely. They're on a 2-game skid now. They've got to kind of snap that a little bit, but that's going to be something that is very concerning for this team. And here's the recap here. The box score, I didn't extend the whole thing out there, just concerned about the points. But this is, you get not hardly anything. You get 21 points out of your front court combined. That's not good. You get 8 and 12 out of your bench guys, but Duke Miles is back. I imagine he'll be back in the starting lineup very, very soon. But McLaughlin gives you 11. Tyler Nickel gives you 3. Like, you can't have that in a game of this magnitude, in a game where they're going to be better in the front court, in a game where you're going to have to hit 3-point shots. You can't have your best 3-point shooter go 1 of 6 and that be his only points in 30 minutes of play. That just can't happen. A.K.O. Kirke, 18 minutes, 7 points. Like, there was no scoring. And we were cold. We were taking bad shots. We'd go large chunks of the game without scoring, turning the ball over. It just overall felt very, very sloppy watching this game. And again, I reiterate, Tyler Nickel cannot go cold. He's your best shooter. He's I think statistically, He's the best three-point shooter in the conference. He was not today. He was 1 of 6. He couldn't hit the ocean if he fell out of a boat. And that was it baffled. He's been on a cold streak lately. He's been kind of, except for the Texas A&M game, for the last 5 games, last 6 games minus the Texas A&M game where he had 25 points. He's been pretty cold outside of that. He's scattered his points. They weren't really that, and then the team has picked him up. The team has carried him. But for this team to be good, I'm glad they got Duke Miles back. He made a huge impact at times. He kind of helped keep Vanderbilt in this game because if you just look at the raw numbers here, you look at those point totals, and I'd say we got blown out if I looked at those point totals. But this team played good defense. And the fact that Tyler Tanner tested positive for the flu, he played 31 minutes and scored 16 points. He's your leading scorer. You got to pick him up. He has the flu. You could tell. 31 minutes with the flu. I love Tyler Tanner. He's a great player. But you can't, that's bad coaching. You've got Duke Miles. Just switch him. You've got to give Tyler Tanner breaks. You've got to get fluids in him. You've got to get, there's things you have to do to take care of Tyler Tanner. He should have been capped at 25 minutes because of how sick. He tested positive a day ago. He's weak, right? You could tell. He was throwing up bricks. Everything was short. He had no energy. He was turning the ball. He was doing a lot of uncharacteristic things. Why? Because he was sick. And you play him 31 minutes, which I know you cut some of his minutes down, but you gotta be strategic with how you sub him and when you sub him and when you can get him some break. Duke Miles was playing well. Why not get Duke Miles out there? Or if you're going to play Tyler Tanner 31 minutes, Tyler Nickel is ice cold. Why not get Duke in for him? And let Duke do some scoring and let Tyler Nickel sit for a little bit, right? Why not get Okirke or Washington out some? I thought Chandler Bing played well, 12 points. That's not, off the bench with 20-something minutes. That's pretty good. He had some good solid minutes. There was one sequence where he hit 2 threes in back-to-back possessions. That's the kind of impact he needs to have. But I felt like he got outcoached. That's the gist of it. You got outcoached, outclassed. Rick Barnes is a hell of a coach, and he showed why. He withstood the brunt of every run, didn't panic, continued to push the ball inside, continued to attack Devin McLaughlin. He had to play soft because he was sitting on 4 fouls, and you lost your edge in the front court. You already were disadvantaged in the front court, and you lost a little bit of it because McLaughlin had to play soft because he had 4 fouls for a large chunk of the second half. And so that affected things. That affected your rebounding. That affected your inside defense. That affected your ability to protect the rim. And Tennessee, they took advantage of it. And then they hit their open shots when they got them, especially down the stretch, and they were able to win this game. And that's kind of where it stood, because you just mismanage your substitutions. You mismanage your usage of Tyler Tanner, who was obviously weak, obviously sick. He was obviously not himself. And that's just the thing. You have to manage that well. You have to manage that better. You have to manage your situations better. That is how you have to play. And Mark Byington did not do that. Mark Byington just seemed like he was always chasing the game. It seemed like he was always one step behind Rick Barnes today. And usually he's not like that. Usually he's pushing the tempo. Usually he is right there with you. Usually it's a nice chess match. Today it wasn't. Today it was Rick Barnes makes 2 moves, Mark Byington makes 1. And it cost him. Cost him a win. Now you're 21-6 at this point. What do you do? It just feels like this season is starting to kind of slide a little bit, and that's not a good feeling. So you have to get back on track if you want a good postseason spot. If you want a 10 or 11 or 12 seed, then fine, But I think in order to get, Georgia's red hot. They won today. They beat Texas, right? So you got a home game against Georgia next week in the midweek, and then you're at Kentucky on the weekend, and then you finish up with you're finishing with 3 road games: at Kentucky, at Ole Miss, and at Tennessee, which that's a tough stretch because that Ole Miss game was supposed to be at home, but due to the weather, they moved that game to Nashville. So it's again, it's a tough stretch. You're going to get another crack at Tennessee here in a couple of weeks, but this is something that you have to take advantage of. This is something that you have to figure out and just get through. But nonetheless, it's just one game, and you dust off and you go get Georgia. So, but every game becomes important now. Every game for seeding purposes becomes important. Now you're just trying to fight not to have to play on Wednesday. Now, you want to maintain that. You want to maintain that at least one bye, and you're definitely done with the double bye. But you got to maintain a spot for the bye. You got to hope some other teams lose, and you just got to win out. You got to beat Georgia, Kentucky, Ole Miss, and Tennessee again. So that's a tough stretch, but it's doable. It's a doable stretch. You get Tyler Tanner back when he recovers from the flu. This game becomes different. The Georgia game becomes different. Like Tanner and Miles and Nickel together as a backcourt can be dangerous. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about the crowd. I want to talk about the crowd. If you were there, what did you see? I'll tell you what I heard on the broadcast. We'll talk about all of that next. 5 Hour Energy. Welcome to the 5 Hour Energy Flavor Draft with 18 different flavors to choose from, including new options like Confetti Craze, Fruity Rainbow, or Cotton Candy. There's something for everyone. The board is set, flavors are ready, and I've got my number one pick for the 5 Hour Energy Flavor Draft. So here's how it's going to go. The board is set, right? And I want you to pick your favorite flavors as well, right? I want you to pick your favorite flavors. For me, the berry flavor is one of the OGs. I really like that one. It's slightly sweet, very fruity flavor, classic mixed berry flavor with hints of raspberry and blackberry. It's smooth. It's not overly sugar. It's got a light tart that keeps it balanced, and it's familiar and easy to recognize. And it's just the GOAT. So that's who I'm picking number one. But again, you could go with other flavors like Cotton Candy, Confetti Craze, Fruity Rainbow, Cherry, Grape, all of that. All of those flavors are available. So who are you picking as your number one flavor? Now, just so you know, 5 Hour Energy shots give you a boost with 0 sugar. 5 Hour Energy has a lot of upcoming flavor innovations as planned. So, the birthday cake one is off the chain. So make sure you get that. And there's going to be some other ones as well that gets made. So find your new favorite flavor of 5 Hour Energy shots available at 5hourenergy.com. That's the number 5hourenergy.com or Amazon. Hey, have you ever wanted to experience the NBA Finals live and in person? FanDuel's giving you the chance to turn that dream into a reality with their NBA sweepstakes. Here's how it works. To book your flight to Oklahoma City, here's how it works. That's probably where the finals is going to be again. That team's tough. Use your profit boost on any NBA future, and you'll automatically be entered for a shot to win an NBA Finals trip for 2. That's right. Flights, tickets, the whole experience. I wonder what Oklahoma City's food scene is like. That'll be interesting. But whoever wins this, let me know how it is. All right, if you're already looking at the board and thinking about which team can make a deep run, this is the perfect time to lock it in. I love futures this time of the year. Whether you pick a team to win a championship or a conference title or something, I love futures. It adds that extra layer of excitement to every game down the stretch because you're just rooting on your pick. And now, not only can your pick cash out, but it could also send you to the finals. So visit FanDuel.com to get started. Use your profit boost on an NBA future to get entered for a chance to win a trip to the NBA Finals. Play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. All right. Thank you for making Locked On Vandy your first listen at Locked On Vandy. If you want to follow along on social media, thank you for joining me right here on this live. We are live, so your comments are available. Let it be known. I want to talk about the crowd for a second because it's concerning that one of the biggest games of the season for Vanderbilt, in a season that is going extremely well, or was going extremely well up until this point, it's a little concerning that I feel like there was way too many Tennessee fans there. It sounded like they had taken over the building on the broadcast. Now, somebody that was there can squash that for me or can confirm it. I'm not sure which one. Maybe towards the end of the game when Vanderbilt fans started kind of filing out, Tennessee fans kind of took over and was louder. I'm not sure, but it sounded like it was at least half and half, which can't happen. That can't happen in that venue. And I get it. There's a lot of Tennessee fans in Nashville. I get that. I get that. There's a lot of Tennessee fans across the state, especially in Nashville. I get it. But that can't happen. Because Vanderbilt athletics is supposed to be taking a different turn. And this kind of jumped back to the old Vandy a little bit, at least for what it sounded like on the broadcast. It kind of jumped back. Now, that's, I think as you go forward, I think you have to be able to, if you want to be a real program, you have to be able to kind of take over those buildings. But it did sound like it was, like, especially down the stretch when Tennessee would make a shot, it just sounded louder through my headphones, right? And I wish I could have gone to the game. I didn't have the opportunity to go. I didn't have a ticket, or I wasn't able to go. But I would have, if I had a ticket in my hand, I probably would have gone. Now I get it. Some people don't get the opportunity to go, so they put it on these third party ticket vendors. And they sell them that way. There's, half dozen ticket vendors that you can put your tickets on that you can get good money for. And Tennessee fans probably swept those things right on up. But it just, I don't know. I was a little disappointed in the fans because, or in the attendance, because it just felt like Tennessee took it over. And, in basketball, with the way things have been going, I wasn't sure. I wasn't expecting that to be a thing, but I guess it was a thing. So that wasn't ideal, but nonetheless, you still gotta pull it out. You still gotta play well. You still, Tyler Nichols still can't only have 3 points. You still can't get 21 combined points out of your front court. You still, I thought you could have managed Tyler Tanner better. All of those things factored in. I was a little disappointed in the crowd being, feeling like it was pro Tennessee, and that kind of sucked. But it just overall was a disappointing loss. But what's next? What's still on the table? I think there's still a chance at a pretty good seed that's left on the table. I'm thinking probably 4 or 5 seed could still be conceivable. 6 seed at worst case scenario, so anywhere between 4 and 6, and I think that's still a really good seed. And if you get lucky and get into a good bracket, you can still make a run as a 4 or 5 or 6 seed. I've seen teams do that. Vanderbilt's just got to kind of figure it out between now and then so that they can be at their best. And it really just comes down to if you can get in the field at a decent seed. Now, if you're like coming in as like a 12 seed, that road gets a little bit tougher. Or if you're coming in as an 8 seed, that gets a little tougher because you win your game against the 9 seed and you draw the number 1 seed. Granted, they don't lose to the 16, which rarely happens, but you draw a 1 seed as an 8 seed. So you want to stay away from the 8 seed. You want to kind of get in that middle seed there, 4, 5, 6. That way you can avoid the 1 seed until I think until the regional final, maybe even depending on. I have to look at the brackets again. I don't know off the top of my head, but you still got a chance to play for a lot of different things. So get Tanner well. get him back to score. I mean, he scored 16 points with a flu, so you know he's feeling it. You know he's going to get his points. But Tyler Nickel has got to be better. He's got to start hitting shots. The front court has got to do better than 21 combined points between three of them. They've got to stay out of foul trouble. And I thought they started fine. I thought they played well in stretches. I just don't feel like it was very consistent. I felt like they got out coached. So they got to be a little bit more consistent. They've got to have more scoring output from the best three-point shooter in the conference, Tyler Nickel. And Tyler Tanner he's just got to get better. And then Duke Miles has got to get reincorporated into the game, which I think he will, but that's just something that's got to happen. So we'll switch gears to baseball because I want to end the show with a little bit of good news. Baseball's crushing the ball, dude. They're leading they've got to be still leading the country in home runs. They had another run rule victory over Marist today. That's 2 for the series. That's 4 for the week. They have a chance to make their entire 5-game homestand run rule. That'll be fun. We'll talk about that next.
I'm Clea Butler, host of Locked On Women's Basketball, and this is Mazda's Women's Basketball Snapshot, celebrating the work no highlight reel can ever capture. It was a heavyweight showdown between number 3 South Carolina and number 7 LSU, and the Gamecocks rose to the occasion. South Carolina secured a hard-fought 79-72 victory to stay atop the SEC standings, using a balanced offensive attack to outlast the Tigers. Tessa Johnson led the way with 21 points, while Raven Johnson added 19. Medina Okot dominated the paint with a double-double, finishing with 12 points and 17 rebounds, while Joyce Edwards chipped in 10 points to round out the scoring. With the statement win, the Gamecocks now turn their attention to a road matchup at number 23 Alabama on Thursday. These moments are earned off the clock, those long before the lights ever come on. The sweat, the fakes, the doubt, the scrapes, and coming back for more every time. Mazda puts that same drive into every detail. Wins define the moment, putting in the work, that defines you. There's more to a Mazda because there's more to you.
All right. Also, if you're an everydayer and you want to step it up and go to the next level, make sure you join the Everydayers Club. The link is right here, right down below in the show notes, and at lockedonvandy.supercast.com to be exact. You get ad-free audio. You get access to a members-only Discord channel and so much more. Just click the link, $5 a month or $50 a year. I think you get that discount if you do the annual route. So it's a way to stay connected, and it's a way to establish that Vanderbilt community within our Locked On Discord server. So let's make that happen. Join the Discord. Make sure you get ad-free audio by joining the Everydayer Club today. All right, we are live. We are wrapping up the show here. Locked On Vandy. Thanks for making us your first listen. If you're still around, if you made it to the third segment, we're going to end on a little bit of good news. And I'm going to get you out of here with something to feel good about. This baseball team is doing exactly what it should be doing this week. They've run ruled their opponent in all 4 games they've played since returning home from Texas. Also, if you were concerned about hitting coming off a Sunday, and I get that it's Eastern Michigan and Marist, so take it for how you will. But crushing the ball is crushing the ball. Hitting these shots, they'd be out in any ballpark anywhere. And this team has great approach at the plate. They have great discipline at the plate. They're driving the ball. They're getting their pitches, and they're just crushing it. Right? Tommy Goodin had another bomb today, and he hit it. I mean, it was a no-doubter. As Andrew Allegretta said, he destroyed it, and it was one of those majestic shots. So this team is hitting the ball extremely well. I can't wait to see if it continues on next week. They've got an important tournament out in Vegas next weekend where they're back against some of the old school Pac-12 teams now, Big 12, Big 10, Oregon, Arizona are 2 of the teams they're playing. That's going to be some good matchups there and a really good test for the weekend starters as well to see what they've got and to see just kind of what they learned from the Texas experience. Austin Nye, has been incredible. He's got elite stuff, and he could get himself. I talked to Alex Kerbigoff on X, and we kind of went back and forth a little bit, and Austin Nye could be the Friday guy. Connor Fennell could be the Saturday guy, and I think Sundays are going to go to Nate Taylor. I think that's still being discussed there. But this lineup, I think, is starting to respond a little bit. That's been good. I think more and more guys are hitting more consistently, which is good. They're hitting with power. They're driving the ball. They're scoring runs. They're giving their pitchers support, and they're taking that pressure off the bullpen. If they can do that on a consistent basis, they will win a lot of games. If they get into this up and down thing that they finished last season off with, because I thought they hit fairly well last season, obviously not as well as they are right now. They had 66 home runs all of last season combined. Right now they're at 20. And it's just, 5 games in? 6 games in, something like that. It's insane. And they haven't played a full game since since their first one. I don't think they've played a full game yet since their first game. They run ruled Texas Tech. They got run ruled. And then, of course, they've had 4 in a row where they've run ruled their opponent. So they haven't played a full 9 innings yet. So that's crazy to think about. And this team's just getting better. The pitching is getting better. They have better. It just seems like they're more focused. They have a better approach at everything, and they're doing exactly what they should do. Because I know all the doubters are going to come out in full force and say, "Oh, it's just Eastern Michigan. It's just Marist. Pick on somebody your own size. Of course, you're hitting bombs on them. Of course, you're run ruling them. It's all the naysayer stuff." But to be honest, they're doing exactly what they're supposed to do against those teams. They're doing exactly what they should have done. They did exactly what they should have done against Eastern Michigan and destroyed them. Run ruled them both times. Threw a combined no-hitter even on Thursday or Wednesday. Yeah, it was Tuesday, Wednesday. Yeah, they threw a combined no-hitter on Wednesday. And then they run ruled Marist on Friday. Hit a ton of bombs. And I think they got off to a little bit of a slow start on Friday, but they ended up winning 16-5. They win 12-1 today. And then, tomorrow we'll see how they finish off the series. And I don't doubt, my expectation is that they're going to finish off the season. They're going to finish off the series, I should say, not the season. They're going to finish off the series with another run rule victory. And like I said, they're just hitting the ball really well at this moment. They're seeing the ball really well at the plate. They're seeing these pitches. They're forcing the opposing pitchers to come into the zone a little bit because they're not chasing. They're not desperate. They're not trying to hit home runs on every at bat. They're being smart. They're driving the baseball where it needs to go. And like I said, they're forcing pitchers to come into the zone. And when they come into the zone, they make them pay. They pounce all over mistakes, and they feast. And you're getting more production outside of the big three with Holcomb, Barzy, and Johnston. Now you're getting Logan Johnstone in the mix. Riker Waite is in the mix. Tommy Goodin looks like he's solidifying his spot at first base. Rustin Rigdon, I think, has a chance to do some things at second. You had Mike Mancini coming in, playing left field. Like, he's going to be a utility player. They're going to be able to mix and match some things. Logan Johnstone coming in right field. I think you're going to have the Rustin Rigdon, Carter Johnstone battle at second base. So there's just going to be a lot of things. When Colin Barzy gets back, he got a little banged up, so I don't think they're rushing him back to play against Marist. But he's, again, I think when it's all said and done, you're going to look at this lineup and go, okay, who's not producing? And they got some depth, and they got guys to put in that if they don't, if the other guys don't produce, they can substitute some guys and just keep right on rolling. So the bullpen has gotten better. They've improved like they should have. We'll see if they can keep that up. But the overall, the consistency of the team, I think, has been a lot better. I think if it continues to stay on that track where they hit well, they can't, or they hit extremely well, I think they're going to come back down to earth just a little bit. I don't think they can keep it. Baseball is not a sport where you can kind of keep this up for a terribly long amount of time. But at some point they will come back down a little bit. Just you hope that when they come back down, it's like more here and not like they plummet, because they plummeted against Oklahoma State this past Sunday. So you hope that like the floor gets raised, week in and week out with the midweek games. And so when they come back down to the floor, it's not as devastating as the floor when it's like way down here where they just come crashing down and it's just ugly. So, but anyway, that's all I got. That's it. That's all, folks. Baseball, they're getting into a groove now. They're finding that groove. I think they're solidifying weekend rotation spots, which is good. They're solidifying lineup spots, which I think there's still some spots they're trying to figure out, but I think they got the bulk of their lineup kind of set. Now they're just finding some ancillary pieces to go in there to make that lineup really, really pop night in, night out. So that's going to be a good thing. So this baseball team has a lot of stuff going on for them. So we'll see kind of how they are moving forward. And I'm excited. You should be too. And up next for the baseball team is a nice little test there. Like I said, 4 straight run rule things. And if they can get a 5th tomorrow, that would be great. But they get Evansville on Tuesday, and then they head out to Las Vegas to go up against UC Irvine, Arizona, and Oregon. That's how they're gonna end the month of February and start the month of March. So it's going to be an important week for them to kind of get some things on track before they head out to Las Vegas next weekend. So with that, thanks for tuning in. All the football topics, all the basketball topics, all the baseball topics, day in and day out. At Locked On Vandy on all social media platforms. Make sure you follow, make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, all of that good stuff on social media, on YouTube, and wherever you find your podcast. I'm starting to become one of those people that's going to be everywhere. That's my goal. So be on the lookout. But I thank you for joining, and I thank you for listening, and I thank you for being with me every single day. Join the Everydayers Club too while you're at it. Make sure and let's build that Vanderbilt community. But until next time, anchor down. Peace.